Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you so much, Bhai Sahib. Thank you so much for sharing. We have a big program here today, so I will not take too much time. With further ado, would like to have Ashok ji here. Thank you so much for joining, Ashok ji. Come on over. Thank you so much. I don't know how many things to say about Ashok here. He's a research scientist in Minnesota. Spends most of his time in India. No, most of his time is here. We love him. He's been part of Geeta Ashram for 35 plus years. I've always been working at Geeta Ashram. I have never met somebody with an ego with a very, very small e and a smile on his face all the time. And anything you want to get done, call Ashok ji over there. Ashok ji is a great writer. And one of his books that I was reading about it's called The Inevitable Separation. Read some of his books, the Bhagavad Gita, The Inevitable Separation, so much going on over there. He lost a dear brother. And when I read his book, it just brings tears to my eyes and to my soul. It is so profoundly written. And in here it says that nature, anything you see today came from an atomic form and end up in its atomic form later. The earth, the moon, and the millions of galaxies and stars were all part of me earlier. So I'm going to meet my brother one of these days. So he is so profound. If you've lost a dear one, get this book. It's a beautiful book on Amazon, other than the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know what else to say. This conference, all the stuff that Ashok has done, we don't know how to thank you. So thank you for joining. Please go ahead on Why the Gita.
Thank you, Vivek. Guru Ma, aapko sat pranam. Without your blessings, I will not be standing here. Thank you so much. I also like to bow to all these eminent speakers. They are wonderful people. I have listened to many of them. They have very in-depth knowledge of Gita. My knowledge of Gita is very shallow. And what I'm going to share with you is my understanding of Gita. Kindly forgive me if you find that the presentation has mistakes. This is how humans are. I also like to bow to all the Karam yogis of Gita who has worked very hard. They are an example. I get a lot of inspiration from them. Thank you. Can I have the first slide, please? Lights off, maybe. We don't need lights there. Okay, thank you. First slide. First, before that. Yeah, thank you. See, this is where Gita started. This way. This is, as we know, this is where Gita started. And this is where it ended. It is where both the armies are in front of each other. Arjuna is confused. Sometimes we think we are confused in life, but here we have the greatest warrior of all times, who is leading the Pandavas' armies, confused about his objectives in life, confused about his duties. He's engulfed in pain, like many of us do. He did not want to fight with his uncles, grandparents, grandfather, and all his relatives. And this is where Lord Krishna steps in and preach him about Gita. And at the end of the discourse, as we all know, he was a completely transformed man, and then he fought the battle without sacrificing any of his principles. He did not lose love for his grandparents, his guru, and he still won the battle. Next slide, please. Okay. How it goes? Okay. This is, I think, one of the most interesting and important thing that I find about Gita. Why does it matter? And most of us know, Gita talks about karmas. It is a encyclopedia of our life. How should we lead our life? I call it standard operating procedures for our life. Karma is our life, and karma is its main theme. Also, I always think that I think one of the most important thing about Gita is that it is very universal. It's not Indian. It is not about a religion. In fact, the word religion in Gita means completely different thing. It means, dharma, our duties, our responsibilities in life. So, yeah, and the word Hinduism doesn't even appear there. So I think it is as good for anybody in the world. It doesn't matter from where you come and where you live. Uh, Another thing is it's always current. It was recited 5,000 years ago, but even today, its contents are as good as at that time. The problems are very similar. We get into all these problems, and Gita has the answers. And finally, as a scientist, I find that Gita is very scientific, very logical. There are many examples. All these scientists I have listed are just few of them. De Broglie and Schrodinger's, as you know, if you have read science, they advanced the theory of the wave nature of matter. And Schrodinger was a staunch follower of Gita. And the wave nature of matter was nothing but Atma's concept. Einstein theory of energy being indestructible is about Atma. He also said that we have a guiding system inside us. And many other, Oppenheimer, we know, a movie has come recently, he talked about Gita. He said, I am death now, when he saw the explosion, when he did the first atomic explosion in Mexico. Many, Newton's law of third law of, for every action, there's a reaction. This is all from Gita. And, all these people, if you go into their life, you will find that they believed in Gita. Some of them carried Gita with them. And also, I think going forward, this is very important. I think Gita is going to play a very important role in our life, in medical sciences. Slowly people have realized chronic stress is the main cause of our problem today. And the only way you can get relief from stress is through spiritualism. So I think the connection of spiritualism and science is beginning to start. Okay. Next one. Okay. These are some of the major takeaways from Gita that I found were very interesting. It leads to the understanding of God in a way no other religions does, no other book does. It leads to the understanding of self, what we are, and our connection with God, and how we can connect with it. So all the yogas that are there in Gita are talking about connection of humans and our connection with God. How do we do that? It is also the couple of things, I find are repeatedly said in Gita, in every chapter. Every chapter we talks about samta, how we should have samta, equality in life. It also talks about why it's important to have middle path and not go in the extremes. And finally, the three virtues of life we call guna, which kind of define the personality of all of us, whether it's your knowledge, whether it's your bhakti, whether any of these things, This is what I understood from Gita. Who is God? We all know that he's Nirakar. I think most religions believe, even Christ's father was God. Nobody knows how Christ looked like. How his father looked like, because his father is even there, he's a Nirakar. So God is everywhere. He's omnipresent, magnificent, infinite. And that is what Gita teaches us. And remember, Gita came much before any of the other religions came. It is also everything that we see here is his manifestation. We are his manifestation too. And the most important thing is that, even Lord Krishna, Rama, we talk about, they are his manifestation too. So sometimes his manifestations are as powerful as he is himself, whom we have never seen. I also say that, if you really want to understand the nature of God, read chapter 9, 10, and 11 of Gita. And if you really want to see him in action, see some of the images taken by Hubble telescope from the space. And I just show you a couple of them here. This is how, these are real images taken by Hubble telescope in the space. You see how the space looks like, it looks like as if Arjuna is sitting in front of Krishna, a star being born. They call it Trinity. In fact, this is a real image taken by Hubble telescope. So, you see at the chapter 11, where God shows his actual, the universal form of the God is just what you see in the space, and then you can imagine what God would be. I think I can't find a better example. Swami Ram Tirth talked about what God is. And this is a beautiful poem. If you ever get to read it, I also quoted in one of my books, and he says, I am without form. You read every word of it, I am without form, without space, beyond time. I am in everything in me. I am the bliss of universe. Everywhere am I. I am the existence absolute, knowledge absolute, bliss absolute. I am that, I am that. Every material, every living form is his manifestation. The question comes, who are we? There has to be connection, We all understand that we are, I always call, we are soul enveloped in a body, material body. The soul is the Purusha. The body is the Prakriti, nature. Nature forms us. We are a combination of it. And as we can imagine, Purusha is always eternal. And that Purusha in us is soul, our Atma, called spirit. And the body is, nature changes, so body changes. It will disintegrate one day. One day we will have it. But the Atma is eternal. Okay. Albert Einstein also said that we humans have a guiding system, inner guiding system. We must connect with this guiding system. Spirituality. See, I was telling that the spirituality is just understanding of your own self, connecting with yourself, connecting with your spirit is spirituality. And spirituality is very, very important that we should get into, understand. And there are many ways of connecting with spirituality. And one of the ways I say is anything you do mindfully can lead to spirituality. You can do karma yoga, bhakti yoga, all kind of yogas. But the most important thing is connecting with your inner self, remembering God. Remember him while eating. Remember him while undergoing your medical test. Remember him while you're undergoing your walking. Thank God that you are able to do it today. Bhakti yoga, see, of all the yogas, karma yoga, everything is important, but I think the bhakti yoga is the simplest. It is easy to perform. You don't need knowledge. You don't have to study. You don't have to be educated. You can do it. And Sakar Bhakti is very, very easy to do. But the most important thing is, and it says in Geeta also, that when you are doing Sakar Bhakti means if you are worshipping Christ, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, remember that God doesn't have a form. And when you are worshipping in Nirakar form, remember that God is in everything. And so it's very important that once you have that mindset, that Sakar Bhakti is for Nirakar God and Nirakar Bhakti is for a Sakar God, then everything is similar. You won't find any difference. This is the central theme of Geeta, and we will hear a lot about it in our lectures, But the important thing is why karma yoga is very important, because this is what we are. There's nothing we can, if you can't be, even sitting is a yoga, walking is a yoga, studying is a yoga. So karma yoga is very important. Even God says, I can't do without karma yoga. If I stop working, universe will collapse. And this is another thing, that we know, and I think we will hear a lot about it from other speakers. Karma yoga, selfless karma, why it is so important. And that is another thing, that the karma yoga, people think that selfless karma means, you have to be volunteer, you have to be with that doing everything. No, you can work in an office and still be doing a karma yoga. As long as you have a social welfare in mind, then you are a karma yogi. And I think I'm shown the time. See, I'm just going to go over these major themes. I have only 1 minute left. Samta is a very, very important theme of Gita. Samta, why Samta is important? Because the life is about changes. You know, the only sign of life, the only truth of life is changes, which changes every moment. And we have to adopt to these changes, and that is what Samta is. Sukh, dukh, sardi, garmi, all of this will come. So that is another theme that comes in Gita all the time, you know, and then the finally 3 gunas, which define our everything in life, our knowledge, our understanding, our dharmas, our charity. You know, they can be sattvic, they can be rajasic or tamasic. And the meaning is very simple. Sattvic is pure, tamasic is impure. So as long as we understand that, then everything is fine. And then finally, a middle path. I think this is the most beautiful thing about Gita. Adopt a middle path. You know, go in center, avoid extreme. Have good sleep, but don't oversleep. Work hard, but don't be work alcoholic. And that is what Gautam, you know, Buddhism is all about some middle path. You know, you adopt a middle path. Excessive or bad. Okay. And then, you know, and then finally, you know, everybody has this question, you know, what is there for me in Gita? You know, why, you know, all these dharmas, everything I understand, but what is for me? It is everything for you. If you can understand gunas, if you can understand that how nature plays role in your, in making you, in changing you, you know, if you follow Gita, if you read Gita, you are very likely to understand that eating sattvic food is very important. Living a sattvic life is very important. Doing selfless karma is very important. And once you do that, then you can be very happy. You can get rid of your chronic illnesses. You have had problems in life. And that is why Gita is very important for all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you.